welcome back to Season 4 of TVGP's Critical Misses, another season where we're watching all the hits we missed. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always over there is Moonpier.
Howdy.
This season, as we mentioned in the last episode, we wrapped up Jonathan W. Wick's adventures. We're going to talk about musicals this season. And first up is going to be 2007's Hairspray, which out of this list is probably the one I know the least about.
Seriously?
Yeah, we've got some real
Okay.
bangers here in this this season. But part of the reason why I'm so excited about this season is I feel like at the opposite ends of the spectrum, musicals and horror movies are movies that I don't really have a lot of knowledge about, like osmosis about.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of musicals, but I feel like most of them have been like West Side Story era, much older.
Yeah, Mary Poppins kind of jazz.
Yeah, like some of the stuff that my mom grew up with that we were watching a lot when we were kids. So something that came out in 2007 starring John Travolta was not really something that I was
Okay.
knowledgeable about.
So, out of curiosity, do you literally know anything about this movie?
I know there's like a competition. I know John Travolta is wearing a dress. Does he wear makeup too?
Yes, he
The
plays
full deal.
He plays a woman in this movie.
Okay,
Yes.
boy, that's great. Okay, so I'm excited for that. Other than that, I don't think I know very much. Have you seen this before?
I have seen it before. Yes.
Okay.
This was part of because spoiler alert, most of these musical suggestions came from my wife,
Right.
who is a musical nut as a former theatre kid in school, and as someone who just likes musicals in general. And this was part of my my musicals education, shall we say?
I see. You're required reading for musicals.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So this is. I feel like I have expectations going into other movies of this season. And I don't really have that many expectations of this one, so this intro section will probably be a little bit short. But I'm excited for this entire season, especially because I genuinely like musicals, but I feel like there hasn't been, other than like Hamilton that came out this year in 2020, there haven't been that many, like maybe huge movies where it's like, oh, you have to go see this. La La Land might have been the previous one from a couple of years ago, but I feel like there hasn't been that many like Grease-sized movies where it's like everyone has to see this.
Yeah, if you know a musical kid, then you know what the hottest musical is. You will have heard me talk several times about the season finale for this season, which I'm looking forward to getting to that one.
Right.
Well, unless you're in the musical zeitgeist, you don't really hear about musicals a lot. There's a couple in this season that hit that kind of level. We'll get to them when we get to them, obviously.
Right.
There's a couple in season 2 which are some of my favorite musicals, because for behind the scenes here, folks, there's too many musicals.
Yeah, your wife gave us a lengthy list of fantastic musicals, and I think we had like 10 overall, so I think or like 9. So we have, I think it's 5 in season 4, and then part 2 of musicals sometime down the road in the future will be another couple of hot bangers over there.
Yeah, we took some of the darker ones out because the time of the year this will be releasing, let's get some happiness in our timeline for a little bit.
Yeah, Halloween is behind us. Christmas is upcoming. This is supposed to be the happy autumnal and winter season. We'll push aside seasonal affective disorder with some fantastic songs.
Yes. So, do you know anything about the setting of this movie?
No, it seems like from. I don't think I've seen any like significant length clips of this movie, but it seems like it's something around like the 50s, 60s. Like it's not modern day.
That is correct.
Okay,
Can I read you the one-word description, or
sure,
the one-sentence description that IMDb has for this? Because I know
absolutely.
we don't look at things we haven't
No,
seen. I've seen it before, so it's fine if I see it.
yeah.
Pleasantly plump teenager Tracy Turnblad teaches 1962 Baltimore a thing or two about integration after
Oh,
landing a spot on a local TV dance show.
okay. Boy, there's a lot going on in that sentence.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So
Uh,
think of the topics that might be discussed in that sentence.
yeah. Okay. Well, she does have a very fun name, though. I have to say that's a really great name for a character. Um,
Her mother, who was played by John Travolta, is Edna.
Edna, that's really good. Oh man.
hmm
All right. So
So
yeah, I'm more excited now.
just you wait until you get to the who's who in this movie.
Oh, is
Like
it one of those?
it's one of those. Like you think that The Fast had some cool guest stars. This doesn't have guest stars. This just has stars from
Right.
top to bottom. It feels like.
Yeah, if you're watching the video version, here on the right-hand side next to me is a snippet of the poster that I usually put here. And one of these, it's basically like the top part of someone's head, so it's like the nose up. And one of these characters sure looks like Queen Latifah. And I was sort of like,
Hmm.
okay, yeah,
Interesting. How
yeah.
interesting that someone looks like Queen
I,
Latifah.
I feel like if you're doing a cool movie about singing, you'd probably bring Queen Latifah in.
Wait
Seems
until
like
you
a good
see.
choice.
Just you wait until you see the
Helen
others.
Mirren, come on over. Do a little bit of singing too. Why not?
Honestly, probably bigger names than Helen Mirren.
Yeah, somehow. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm very excited to go watch this musical. Let's go watch it.
Yep.
We're back from watching the movie. We're throwing a whole bunch of stuff around our office. It's a Sunday. We have finished watching 2007's Hairspray, not
Mm-hmm.
1988's Hairspray. Although the director of the previous version of Hairspray, John Waters, has a incredible cameo in this movie as the flasher during the intro song, which is just
Yep.
it's it's just the
Also,
best.
fun fact of the song over the end credits is sung by all three versions of the
Oh,
main character, the two stage versions and the movie version.
that's
Oh, sorry, the
fun.
stage version, the original movie, and this movie.
Right. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so boy, the movie starts with a banger of a song that I
Can I just
definitely was not expecting.
Yeah, so my first note here just says, "Hey Boston, remember that thing I love so much?"
Hmm.
Which is a really bright presentation of horribly dark crap.
Yep. Welcome to Hairspray.
Yep.
Yeah, I started watching this movie with my kid, but I think uh so it's PG and there's really nothing objectionable about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um 2020 has been a hard year for explaining to my 4-year-old what racism is, and
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't really get it yet, which makes sense because she's 4.
Yes.
A lot of the language in this movie around the one day of the week that the show
Yep.
changes was sort of like you could see it in her eyes. She's just like, I'm gonna repeat this forever. It's like, okay, we cannot. Sadly, we cannot watch this movie together because it started with it's like the second or third song, which has the line "Nice white kids who like to lead the way," and once a
The
month we
ni-
have our Negro Day, and I was like,
the nicest kids in town is that song.
yeah, and I'm just like, right, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is a lot more blatant about the film's message than I think I was expecting. In a great
Yep.
way, like not to
Yeah,
be
it doesn't try and pretty things up. It's like, no, no, no. This
right,
is 1962.
right. There's still segregation going on in Baltimore.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that was that was about where I stopped the movie and was like, yeah, I'll watch this on my own later.
Yes.
Um,
So, just for the record, by the way, as we go through these musicals, I am going to have a list of every song. I have it on my notes
okay,
here.
perfect.
So that I can, number one, call out my favorite songs.
Yes.
But also, number two, ask you if any stuck in your head.
Okay.
So, because that's the whole thing with musicals, you know, if it's a good one when you get just one song stuck in your head. For example, at the start of the pre-show here, or at the start of the recording, I started singing Music of the Night.
Right.
And that is a song from the Phantom of the Opera, which I was listening to Trans-Siberian Orchestra in the car.
Ah.
They then came up with Lindsay Sterling's Phantom medley, which has got all of the songs. And I've had Music of the Night stuck in my head ever since.
Naturally, right.
Yes. So yeah,
yes.
Good Morning Baltimore is a hell of a banger.
Yeah, that I feel like I didn't expect. Obviously, it's a musical, so obviously there's going to be like a ton of singing in it. But I feel like I didn't expect for probably one of the strongest songs to come out at the beginning. I'm used to the climax of the movie or the apogee of the two main characters' feelings to be kind of the best, most memorable song. Because as I've been thinking about this season, I've been thinking a lot about Scott Pilgrim and the director saying that he felt like the best part about musicals is when the characters' feelings get to be too much, like too much to deal with, or they become too overwhelming.
They just can't help but break out into song.
Yeah, like the only way they feel they can express these heightened emotions is by singing them. And I think Hairspray is a really interesting version of that. But one of your comments in the first half of this episode was, "Hey, everybody's in this movie," and I was like, "Yeah, sure." No, literally everybody is in this movie in every role. Every time another person would show up on screen, I was like, "Oh, that's Michelle Pfeiffer." Wow, okay. There's just literally James Marsden is in here. Like
my who's who is there's Cyclops. James Marsden, who before he played Cyclops was a really good like musical theater actor.
Yep.
And hey, there's Zac Efron.
Right. With the best hair curl in the business.
Yes. And there's John Travolta.
Right. There's his husband,
there's
Christopher Walken, who was just like, oh.
Yep, there's Christopher Walken.
Yep.
Right after the was it Fatboy Slim video that he did?
I think that would have been around the same time, yeah. Yeah. Christopher Walken having one of my favorite lines in the movie. We're just talking to Edna, and she's accusing him of sort of flirting with Michelle Pfeiffer's character. He's like, "It took me 5 years to figure out you were flirting with me. Come on." I'm not even going to try a Christopher Walken impression. Number one, I'm bad at impressions. Number two, that's a hard impression to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I have it in my head, but I won't do it because number one, I'm English, and number two, I'm really bad at impressions.
Right. Allison Janney is in here too, as the overly religious, scary mom. God, yeah, it's just literally everybody that shows up on scene. The only person that I feel like
as well, who was Penny, wasn't she?
Yes, I think so. Jerry Stiller as one of my favorite cameo characters as Mr. Pinky. He's so good in everything. I think maybe surprisingly and unsurprisingly, the only person I really hadn't seen in before was the actor that played Tracy, the main character. I feel like I hadn't seen her in anything before.
There is a reason you haven't seen her in anything before. Because I'm pretty sure the credits for this start with introducing Nikki Blonsky, which means this was her first ever role. Very much in the same way The Mask begins with introducing, what is it, Cameron Diaz?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like that was her first role. This was Nikki Blonsky's first role.
Wow. Good for I gotta say, she kills it. Just the whole movie. And So the movie is obviously all about breaking down barriers and trying to overcome ingrained racism and singing and high school love and a coming of age story, which is always going to be. I'm
You're a sucker
1000% a
for them.
sucker for coming of age stories in everything. It will get me every time. Where it's like they learned about themselves. um, but I think the thing that impressed me so much about Hairspray overall is Tracy never had an agenda, because it's so easy for movies and works to that deal with racism to so easily portray this white savior, where
Hmm.
it's her coming in and be like, I'll take care of racism, and she's like, no, I just want to dance with everybody. Like, everybody should dance together. Duh, dancing's fun.
Yeah.
And I really like that, because I think it helps the movie be like avoid that white savior thing that's just the worst. The
Well, it
worst.
also helps that Queen Latifah is a badass in this movie as well.
Queen Latifah was always great, and yeah, I like her when she did the sponsorship call out, and like her hesitation or eye rolling on the hair product is just like, oh
Hmm.
man, yeah, like it's not much better in 2020. Sorry, but you're
Nope.
you're
It's
really
really
killing
not.
it in this role. Yeah. I actually liked Brittany Snow in her role. I like Brittany Snow in pretty much everything I've seen her in.
Was that
Um,
the
Amber,
Michelle Pfeiffer's daughter? Yes.
yeah. She's obviously in Pitch Perfect, but she's also really good in John Tucker Must Die, which is a film that I feel like nobody really watched, and it's
Hmm.
better than it seems.
Didn't even know she was in Pitch Perfect, to be honest.
Yeah, she's the redheaded with the that gets the nodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see Pitch Perfect a lot. That first movie is really good.
Hmm.
Future season. Um, yeah, what else? What else in here? I like the. I actually really liked the heist to get Tracy onto the live show at the end, where
Yes. The
it
hairspray container.
yeah, like it was really kind of interesting to see them pull off. It wasn't like, yeah, she's been in here all day. Haha, I'm in the back. It's like, no, she was outside. They broke her in. I thought
Hmm.
that was kind of clever.
So
Uh,
here is my question.
yeah,
John Travolta. We have to deal with the elephant in the room here.
we certainly do.
So
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. I think as a performance, it's incredible, but I do not like this performance by John Travolta.
No, like I get, as someone who grew up in the Midwest, I get what they're going for. Like I get that they're
Hmm.
going for this like kind of chewy, little over the top, but kind of semi-accurate accent. I feel like they might have been trying to capture what made Fargo so popular, where it's like, yeah, you're just leaning into this regional accent.
Hmm.
But
But the problem is then he tries to sing in it, and
yes,
John Travolta is an incredible singer. Spoiler alert: go see Grease if you haven't seen a
oh
movie from
yeah,
the
God,
'60s.
Grease and Grease 2 are both so good.
Which, fun fact, John Travolta's in Grease, Michelle Pfeiffer's in Grease too. Just saying.
Ah, that's true. Yeah.
Apparently, they broke out in a rendition of "Summer Lovin'" on the set,
Oh,
and like
great.
Zac Efron and everyone else was just geeking out over it the whole
Yeah.
time. So, of
Yeah,
course.
I agree with you that I think his singing, the song where they're in the Mr. Pinky's store, I think is
Hmm.
probably the weakest of his songs. But
Welcome to the '60s, by the way.
yeah, and it's like it's fine, and everybody else does okay, but I think that performance is a little bit off compared to the other ones, and I
Hmm.
just feel like his accent is just I don't think his tone is off. I think it's fun, but I think the he leans too far into the accent.
Hmm.
Especially when he's talking about a diet and it sounds more like dit or dot or something. Like it's a little bit too much, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, props to him, the fat suit and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm pretty sure they probably could have found a larger real lady to play this
Mm-hmm.
part, and it probably would have gone down better. But this is also one way you can advertise John Travolta as a larger lady in
Mm-hmm.
the trailer. Uh, Spoiler alert: this thing was the #1 grossing live action musical of all time
Oh wow.
until a little movie called Mamma Mia came out.
Sure. Right. Boy, Mamma Mia was just
Hmm.
monstrously huge. Yeah. And I give it credit because they never there's never a wink and nod about her being John Travolta. They just sell it completely straight that it's like, yeah, this is Edna. She's married to Christopher Walken. What about it?
Hmm.
Like it's not even really a thing. And I think that's kind of fun, but um yeah, it's weird. It's just it's not bad, it's
Yeah.
just weird.
Yep.
Yeah. I was really surprised at I like James Marsden a lot in this as Corny Collins. I think he sells that kind of like saccharine sweet, but maybe a little bit tired of doing this thing. Um,
Hmm.
I like him in general, but I thought he pulled off. And he's a good singer too, which I
Yep.
sort of wasn't expecting.
Oh, have you not seen James Marsden like proper belt it out before?
I feel like I haven't.
Dude,
Um,
he is an incredible singer. He was in. I always mess up the name of this one, but he was in the Disney movie that's not done by Disney, I don't think. Enchanted, where the animation comes to the real world.
oh, I don't. If I've seen that, it's been a really long time.
Yeah, and in that he is literally running around the real world dressed in like Disney Prince hero, like
Right.
fluffy velvet kind of stuff, doing all the singing.
He does do some drunk singing in 27 Dresses, which is the movie that I think I've seen him in the most because I like that movie and I've seen it a bunch. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't remember. I can't think of anything else he's been in.
Other than X-Men.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Other than he's playing the literal worst X-Men in the history of the X-Men.
Don't say that. Musin will hate you.
I hate Musim and I have come to an accord. I hate Cyclops because I think he's too much of like a chaotic good character, and we have agreed that he loves Cyclops, and I think he's the worst X Man
Okay, okay.
of all time.
As long as there is an accord, then that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. We're
Um,
adults. We've talked about it. It's all good.
but overall, what did you think of the movie? Like, let's talk about the songs.
Yeah.
Are you humming any of them right now? Are any of them still in your head from this movie?
Welcome to Baltimore definitely is. Um, that's probably the big one because I feel like that's the strongest one. I feel like the most memorable one is probably the like 18 to 25 people are singing it at the very end, but I don't
Yep.
remember.
I have highlighted my two favorite songs, which is "Good Morning Baltimore," the first song, and
Mm,
"You Can't Stop the Beat," which is the last
yeah,
song.
boy, that's a good one. Just like if you were seeing a stage version of that, like that's where the audience is on their feet and everybody's clapping and like
Hmm.
it's a great time. Like that's a hell of a performance from literally everybody in the movie.
Yeah, and nicknamed "You Can't Stop to Breathe" by all of the cast because it was so like it's a
Right.
fast BPM. It's got
Right.
really complicated dance moves. The only one who didn't complain about it was the former rapper Queen Latifah.
Right. Yeah, she's like, I can do this, whatever. We're all good.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I don't watching the movie, I feel like I didn't have any songs that I just outright disliked. Like even
Hmm.
Welcome to the 60s was pretty good, save for John Travolta's kind of weird performance on that one. The rest of his songs were fine. Christopher
Hmm.
Walken's little bit of singing was fine, though that was clearly like we're gonna downplay this as much as we can because he's not. That's not what he's there for. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to think if there was anything the I liked a lot of the the larger group choreography and songs that were on the Corny Collins show. Like, I liked that there was like 10 different couples that were all doing sort of matching choreography stuff. I'm a super sucker for that stuff. And I thought they did that really well, and it feels like something that would have been presented on TV, especially as like each individual person was coming up to the camera and they had their own little introduction and dance. I thought that was great.
It was very 60s. Like,
Yes.
they do a really good job in this movie, I think, of representing the time period, both positives and negatives about it.
Right. I also
Like,
like that Detention is just a dance
Party
party.
time.
Yeah, because like I feel like there's this undertone of like, well, the black kids are all the ones that are in here, so obviously the school is number one, you know, still super segregated, but also there's nobody in there to mind them, so they are also kind of probably not being taught and being ignored, which is
Yeah.
probably super time appropriate, as unfortunate as that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those movies where it's like, I like the representation in it. I like the fact that it's at a time period telling a story. I do like the story overall. I'm not the sucker for coming of age stories that you are.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm just not a sucker for that.
Yeah.
My thing that I'm a sucker for is bleak sci-fi. Give me some good bleak sci-fi, and
Sure.
I'm down with that 100%.
Right.
We'll get there when we get to Alien and Aliens.
I feel like it's so good, like the polar opposite, where I'm like, I want to hear about someone singing about finding themselves as a teenager, and you're like, will humanity survive? We don't know.
1,000%.
That's great.
And well, overall, like I'm guessing we're probably close to wrapping up now. Like, final thoughts on the movie, because I like this a lot more than I saw it the first time. And keep in mind, I have a super fan who lives in the house with me of musicals in general.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised by how much I like this, and I literally busted a gut laughing in the first song because like I forgot how dark this is, and it's just like this happy-go-lucky 60s song and singing about the rats on the street, and there's the flasher and there's the hobo who they all say hello to me on my way to school, and it's just
that's right. I like her feeding the rats. It's like, come on, lady. Yeah, I agree. I feel like I was going in expecting like this will be a fun musical. Like I like musicals. There'll probably be a couple of good songs. Probably be, you know, a couple of actors that were sort of starting out. It's very much like, I don't know if you've ever seen Cheaper by the Dozen, the one with Steve Martin in it.
Yes, I have. It has Smallville in it, the guy who played Superman in Smallville.
Yeah, and it has like 30 other
all
actors.
The Disney stars as well.
Yeah, like all the Disney stars, everyone in who now you're like, oh, they're monstrously huge. I feel like it's very much like that. All these actors were big at the time, but it's sort of funny where it's like, and here's a new character, and it's like, I know them. It's Chappie. So, and I was expecting to like this, but I'm right there with you. I liked it way more than I was expecting to, and I could see myself watching this pretty frequently. Like, this is easily a movie I'd go back to watching, and even if I just watch like the first 30 minutes and get a couple of good songs, I'd be happy. But I feel like it'd be one of those ones that I'd sit down and like, oh, I'll put this on in the background, and then I'd just watch the whole 2 hours and be like, oh no, I had stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Like, I sat down, me and my wife were talking about it because I watched this last night. I was going to watch it with her. We played some Apex. By the time we were done, it was too late for her to watch it. And I was like, I'm just going to put this on, have it on the background while I'm like futzing around with other things, maybe. Yeah. I just sat down and watched it. I was like, no, this first song got me in, so now I'm in through the whole way now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really good, and it's way better than I was expecting it to be. And it's one of those ones where you watch famous movies, or you watch like really highly praised movies every once in a while, and you're like, man, I don't get it. Like, I guess I can see why people love it, but like this wasn't like the best movie of the year, or the best movie of all time. And I watched this and it's like, yeah, all right. Like, this might not be the best version of Hairspray, but I feel like I get why people love this thing.
Yeah. definitely. And like I said, like John Travolta, take it or leave it kind of thing.
Sure. Doesn't ruin the
we
movie, thankfully.
we will have examples in this first season of larger ladies who can sing.
Mm-hmm.
One in particular I'm thinking of, and I cannot wait till we get there, but we'll get there eventually.
Right.
And it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. I'm sure it had no small part to do with the fact that loads of people went to see this because it's John Travolta.
Mm-hmm.
He's dressed as a woman. What's going on?
Right. Like, did they really do that? And it's like, yeah, he's a main character. Like, it's not a joke. They play that straight. Yeah. All right. Well, let's finish this up, and then we'll see everybody next episode for the next movie. Bye.
Boy.